Hi, I'm Lukas from DW Travel, and I'm in Berlin because I want to find out how hard the tourism industry is being affected by the second lockdown here. My first stop, the so-called BER, Berlin's major airport. It has only been in operation since October 31st. So, touristically speaking, this is the very latest Berlin has to offer. This is the terminal building, and I gotta say it's neither beautiful nor ugly. It's just an airport, and it's not particularly big if you consider that the whole thing was designed for around 46 million passengers a year. However, as you can see, it is of little use at the moment. There are only a handful of travelers. The pandemic hits the airport hard. In addition, it was opened with an unbelievable 9 years delay. And on the runway, hardly any movement. As you can see, there's hardly anything going on here. So let's see if it's different in the city center. There has been a partial lockdown in Germany since November. Not surprising, the historical center is almost empty. Shops are open and everyone can leave their home, but cultural facilities are closed. Like these museums.
But there are people in the tourism sector that are busy,
Hallo.
even in this situation.
Hallo, ja. Da gehen wir ein Stück zusammen, genau. Ich fahre weiter.
Tourism is your job, and we're in a lockdown again. So I guess you have a lot of free time right now?
Absolutely not, no. Well, the Berliners are on their own now, which is a very unusual feeling. But we are preparing for the next year and for post-corona times. And I'm quite sure that Berlin will stage a very nice comeback.
And within the industry, the tourism industry, are there any areas particularly hard hit by this lockdown right now?
Mostly hard hit are the private persons like city guides, private museums, galleries. The state museums, like here on the Museum Island, they are subsidized, they can survive somehow. But we have to take care, and that's what we are working on, to take our partners through the crisis.
Do you think there's going to be a permanent damage due to the lockdown?
It's hard to say. Of course, there will be bankruptcies with restaurants, with pubs, but that's a little bit like in a jungle. They die and new ones come back. So I'm pretty confident that, that Berlin will offer still its international cuisine with more than 20,000 restaurants. And I would say in 1 year, you couldn't see any trace of the crisis.
How do you see tourism in Berlin in the near future?
I think that we will see a strong recovery in the summer months and from autumn on. Don't talk about January. This will be dark.
All right, but in general, you sound very confident regarding the tourism here in Berlin.
We are revenge travelers. We were forced to stay at home for nearly 1 year. And if there is only a little bit light at the end of the tunnel, if the door opens only a little bit, we will slip through. That's what we expect here in Berlin. Everybody will be back.
And that's the new old palace, the so-called Humboldt Forum. To me, it kind of looks like a film set, a little bit unreal.
3 facades of the palace, where once Prussian rulers resided, are built in a historical style. Only one side is very modern. I like the historical facades better, but many people have a completely different opinion.
So the reconstruction is controversial, mainly because of the reproduction of the historical facade.
I am permitted to enter the courtyard ahead of the opening. The once completely destroyed palace has been rebuilt since 2012. There are only a few scaffolding left. Humboldt Forum, Berlin Palace. What is it actually?
Also im Wesentlichen ist es ein Zentrum für Kultur und Wissenschaft. Wir werden zahlreiche Ausstellungen haben, wir haben ein großes Veranstaltungsprogramm und wir haben ein Programm für kulturelle Bildung. Im Wesentlichen geht es um die Kulturen der Welt. Wir haben ein Humboldt-Labor, da geht es um Fragen der Demokratie, um Fragen der Ökologie. Wir haben eine Berlin-Ausstellung, die sich mit der Vernetzung von Berlin und der Welt auseinandersetzt. Wir haben eine Ausstellung zur Geschichte des Ortes, weil wir uns sehr gezielt auch mit der Geschichte auseinandersetzen möchten. Die 700-jährige Geschichte, da gab es ja insgesamt mit dem Humboldt-Forum 4 Bauten. Das Dominikanerkloster, dann kam das Berliner Schloss, der Palast der Republik und das Humboldt-Forum ist ja auch wiederum fast schon Teil der Geschichte.
There are 4 facades, of course, 3 historical and 1 very modern. Why this combination?
Also zum einen war das Teil des Wettbewerbs, dass man die 3 originalen barocken Fassaden rekonstruiert, weil die Ostfassade, das waren ja Renaissance-Bauten, war keine klassische barocke Fassade und insofern hat man hier auch wirklich gewollt eine neue Fassade gewünscht und das zeigt ja auch sehr klar den Bruch dieser Geschichte, den der Ort eigentlich widerspiegelt.
What's the biggest attraction for tourists here? What is there to see?
Was können die hier sehen?
Ja, hier kann man einerseits ein neues Stück Berlin entdecken mit diesem Schlüterhof von Schlüter, der barocke Schlüterhof, 3 Seiten rekonstruiert. Es gibt die Passage, die von Nord nach Süden führt. Es gibt das Schloss als Objekt zu entdecken.
Can you already say when it will open?
Also wir sind hier gerade noch am restliche Gerüste abbauen und sind damit eigentlich bereit, am 17. Dezember zu öffnen. Das ist der Plan. Wie sich das jetzt genau entwickeln wird mit Corona, was die Auflagen sein werden, was die Bundesregierung beschließt. Wir haben da verschiedene Szenarien.
Allegedly, the Humboldt Forum will open soon, and that's a glimmer of hope during this lockdown.
No tourists. The situation in this second lockdown is now dramatic for hotels too. Some remain open for business travelers. Others are closed.
Like the Hotel Oderberger.
But it is not completely closed. Well, the hotel is closed for tourists, but still there are some people around here. Why is that?
We are open actually for guests who use our hotel rooms as hotel office, as we call it, which means that people living in the neighborhood can rent our hotel rooms for as a workspace. We started with that during the first lockdown actually, together with a couple of other hotel friends kind of in Berlin, and it was accepted quite well by our clients.
How many people do use that offer?
To be frank, the hotel office does not make up for the loss of the tourists and the business travelers. But we do have maybe during a week, maybe 10 to 20 hotel office guests. So it changes from day to day. Some days there's 1 and some days there are 10.
How do I have to imagine that? Like in a normal hotel? So there is a breakfast buffet in the morning and you can use the facilities here?
A breakfast buffet is not available at the moment since the hotel as such is not in operation right now. But you can, for example, print something at reception, you have a coffee maker in your room, you have a bottle of water in your room. There are lovely restaurants here in the street who offer takeaway lunch. So you do have the infrastructure and you just have a place to work which is not your home.
Is this helping, really helping, I mean, in a financial way?
No, it's not helping in a financial way. I want to be honest, it's a very tough situation for the whole hospitality industry, and we do depend on solutions for us to be able to open again and to open again soon. And we do depend on financial aid from the state.
I can visit one of the Home Office guests.
Hi, Lukas.
Hi, Kemal. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, come in.
Kemal, why do you work in a hotel?
Basically, it's the most comfortable solution to cover up the current situation, the COVID situation. Basically, my company is planning to open up a small office in Berlin, but considering the situation and all the uncertainty coming up in the next months and weeks, we decided to have an intermediate solution, and the Wartenburg Hotel offered a great solution to be very flexible whenever the availabilities are possible to come here and to work here.
How's the feeling? Is this the hotel feeling? I'm in a hotel room, or are you actually in an office?
It feels like a constant business trip. I mean, I never leave the room. The advantage is that I can have my private room. I don't have a shared office where I have to be silent or consider anyone else, and have my privacy, especially when it comes to more decision-driven talks and more confidential talks. So it's basically a great intermediate solution.
But while I'm here, I just have to look at the legendary swimming pool. Unfortunately, nobody can use it at the moment.
It's obvious, for many people in the hotel industry, it's all about getting through the crisis, and a lot of them hope for some income during the Christmas season. But nobody knows if that will happen.
I don't live in Berlin, but I'm on the road for you and am therefore considered a business traveler. That means I am allowed to stay in a hotel here.
I'm gonna get some sleep. Bye-bye and stay healthy.